when democracy is used by any proxy of the foreign policy establishment, it's used to create a predicate for regime change, for a change in that country's elected government, principally in order to control the various political, media, social, and cultural levers, and to give basically more freedom and leeway to State Department and intelligence cutouts, whose influence is limited by state action in that targeted country. So India. So I mentioned that I've talked about the India thing for a long time because I remember very vividly in 2019 when the Atlantic Council was holding conferences about what to do about India and the problem of internet and communications freedom in India, because it was leading people to be Modi supporters, and Modi was perceived as a populist, a sort of part of a new non-aligned movement, a la the thorny role that India played in the side of the State Department and the national security state during portions of the Cold War. And you see this right now with the fact that Modi is basically non-aligned on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, right? You've got declarations by the Indian, the financial minister who's talked about how they're going to continue to basically buy Russian oil and gas. There's the purchasing of arms and other equipment, and India plays a very, very important role with respect to America's foreign policy vis-a-vis China, to let alone a dozen other issues, especially and also just our ability to control the political ecosystems of the South Pacific. So India looms very large, and Modi's nationalist proclivities make it a unstable and sometimes adversarial piece on the State Department chessboard. They want somebody in there who is like a Trudeau, who is like an Annalena Baerbock in Germany, essentially. Somebody who will just, Annalena Baerbock was groomed by NATO. And for those who don't know, Annalena Baerbock is the foreign minister. She controls the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Germany, and she was the one who, on day one of her being put into office, she's the Green Party. It was basically NATO backed the Green Party in Germany because they were using this pretext to shut down the Nord Stream pipeline on regulatory grounds over basically, kind of sort of climate type pretext for not having the gas coming through there, and she just does. I mean, she's a perfect photocopy replica of the picture perfect vassal state of Western interests. And by the way, I don't mean that pejoratively. I support Western interests, but there are dirty tricks. There's fair play and there's dirty tricks. And what they're doing with Modi is dirty tricks. This is something that we lived through 3 years of high intensity Russiagate, over $100,000 in Facebook ads. And we've got probably $30 million at least that have flowed from the State Department to do the same thing in India, and somewhat explicitly, because this is all done through, the Atlantic Council and the Global Engagement Center and USAID, and funding all the different pop-up censorship mercenary groups that we send over there under the guise of saying, oh, well, they are fact-checking groups, or these are digital resilience groups, or media literacy groups. But what they are is they are censorship mercenaries who put pressure on Indian civil society and communications platforms in order to stop the ability of Modi supporters from accessing other hearts and minds. It's very similar to what they did in Brazil with Bolsonaro, when they basically got Sergio Moro and the court system there to ban Telegram when Telegram said that it would not censor so-called misinformation. The High Court in Brazil actually made it, not only banned Telegram, but they put a criminal penalty for accessing Telegram and a $10,000 fine by VPN. Telegram had to crawl back to them and say, okay, fine, we'll censor misinformation, and we're granted access to operate in the country again. So they're trying to do that in India. There's a lot more tricks they can play, but I'll pause there.